Hi everyone and welcome to today's training regarding prompting methods. So what is prompting? Prompting is a teaching strategy we use in the field of applied behavioral analysis, or ABA, to teach a learner a new skill. And I emphasize a new skill because the idea is if a child has this skill in their repertoire, in their learning history, or they're able to do it, then we shouldn't need a strategy to teach them. So for instance, if a child already knows how to tie their shoe, we shouldn't need to use a prompting method to teach them to tie their shoe. They should be able to do it on their own or independently. Now, if a child doesn't know how to tie their shoe or only knows how to, say, cross the laces and put it underneath and not to pull it through, then we would maybe use a prompting method or a prompting strategy to teach them how to tie their shoes. So Neitzel and Woolry in 2009 discussed this idea of the least to most prompting method, and they also call it the system of least prompts and increasing assistance. They come up with 9 steps that you do when you're teaching the skill using a prompting method. So first, you identify the target skill. Is it a discrete task or a chain task? So a discrete task would be something like, okay, sit down and write your name, and a chain task would be telling the learner to do something like, go brush your teeth, go wash your hands, it's time to get dressed, things like that. The next thing we do is identify a target stimulus. So it's a naturally occurring event. So I just played out in the mud and my hands got dirty and I need to go wash them. I played in the rain, my clothes are soaked, I need to change my clothes. Is it a completion of one activity? So I tell my client or learner to write their name or sit down and do this math problem. An external signal, such as a bell in a school, so that's signaling the person to go from class to class or that it's time to leave or anything like that. The third thing is to select cues or task directions. So this is the cue to tell the learner to use the target skill. So is it naturally occurring, like my clothes are wet, I have wet clothes, so therefore I need to change? Is the cue just me telling you, go change your clothes, go clean your room? Or is it an external cue? So I heard the bell ring, I need to go to class, things like that. The next thing we do is select reinforcers, and this can be something that we use or take from what we know from the learner's history. So we know they like goldfish over vegetables, they like M&Ms over Reese's, they like Paw Patrol over PJ Masks, things like that, or one toy over another. The next thing we do is identify activities and times for these teaching activities. So the time of day, the areas, and the number or the amount of time in between. So this is things like, am I working on a social cue or a social activity? So should I do it in this room or should I do it in this room? Should I do it when clients are arriving or leaving, or should I do it in the middle of the day? I tell the learner to tie their shoes, they do it properly, how long should I wait until to have them tie their shoes again? Things like that. The next thing we do is select the number of levels in the hierarchy. So we do this by looking at the skills of a learner as well as the difficulty of the task. So maybe if the learner has a high amount of skills and I tell them to hang up their coat, that would require a less level in the hierarchy. It's an easier task. It doesn't require a lot of chains. Now, if I ask the same client to get completely dressed, that might require a higher level of hierarchy because there is more chaining or more events involved in this task. The next thing is select which prompts you're going to use. So we have 6 prompts in this hierarchy. We have a full physical, partial physical, modeling, gestural, verbal, and visual. And I created this visual for us to learn for these different hierarchy prompts. So I created this one, a rainbow. So red is the full partial. This is the highest hierarchy prompt. This is the most prompt. So we're going least to most or most to least. Red is the biggest arch in the rainbow and it's the most color. So this is how I determined how my visual would look. So full physical, this is the most prompt. Next we have partial physical, modeling, gestural, verbal, and visual. Our next task in the sequence is sequencing from least to most. So this is what we just talked about, this visual. So we have visual all the way up to full physical prompt. And then determine the length of response interval. So this is like if I'm telling a client, go show me where the door is. How long do I wait to prompt them to touch the door? So let's go through these prompts and examples of each. So let's say I'm teaching a client to point out a picture of a cat and an array of 3. So I have 3 cards. Let's say a cow, a cat, a giraffe. And I'm asking the client to show me which one says meow. So assuming I wait 3 seconds, and that's the protocol, 3 seconds, and they don't touch the cat after I provide them with the SD, which one meows, I might go to a visual prompt. So a visual could be something like, okay, so I put an M&M on the picture of the cat. I tell them which one meows, and I move my eyes and look directly at the cat. Next, verbal, I say, which one meows? Touch the cat right away to give them, or waiting the 3 seconds, or right away if it's an errorless prompt, so that they know which one meows, I touch the cat. Next is gestural, so touch the cat, and I point to the cat, and they in turn touch the cat. Next would be modeling. So this would be also similar to gestural. So maybe before I show them which one meows, and I touch the cat, and I move it over and say which one meows, and then they touch the cat. Next would be a partial physical. So now I'm giving them the SD, which one meows, and I might come from behind and push their elbow forward a little bit and towards the picture of the cat. Full physical, I'm fully prompting them. So I'm saying touch the picture of the cat, I'm touching them, I'm bringing them fully onto the picture of the cat to touch it. All right, so Fisher and Kodak in 2007 discuss the idea of prompt dependence. So this is where our learner is now becoming prompt dependent on us. So they're relying on us to give them the answer to the question. And I see this a lot with older kiddos or kiddos that are just not attending to what I'm saying. So for instance, if I am talking to another client and I have my client there and I want them to kind of begin the conversation. So a client comes up and says, "Hi, how are you doing?" And before my client responds, they might look at me. So this is a sign of prompt dependence. Or back to the example of which one meows, and hopefully they would touch the cat. They might go, I might say which one meows, and they might look at me or just wait for me to prompt them. They might sit there and look and just wait until I prompt them with like any type of prompt, a verbal, a visual, a gestural, anything. So Libby et al. In 2008 discusses the importance of prompt fading. So this is why we do the least to most, and once we figure out a way to prompt them, we want to back it up and go back down to the least. So we want our children to not become prompt dependent. So what we would do, say I'm working with a client and I'm saying, touch the cat. I've done my visual, verbal, gestural, and modeling prompts, and say this, they're getting it right every time now with my partial physical, where I'm just touching their elbow and they're going and touching the cat. So I want to fade it out. So now the next time they've gotten it right a few times, I'm going to say, okay, I might put them out and I might go, which one meows? I will touch the cat. I will show them the 3 things. Which one meows? They would touch the cat. Say they get there right a few times. Now I'm going to move down to a gestural prompt. Which one meows? I point to the cat. They point to the cat. Say they are getting that correct. We're back to a verbal prompt. Which one meows? Touch the cat. Going down to a visual. Which one meows? I look at it, and they would touch the cat, and they're getting that right a few times. Which one meows? And at that point, they should be getting it independently. So prompts are very beneficial when teaching clients new skills. We also need to remember the idea of prompt dependence and how to fade those prompts using least to most prompting, and then once we figure out a prompt, going back down from most to least prompting. I hope this training was to be beneficial for you, and good luck with your prompting methods.